Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and at this point you guys know what this series is about. If you don't, then go back and watch day one. But yeah, let's go straight into talking about warm-ups here. One of the big things that people need to understand, and I know I catch flack for this, because I've said in the past, warm-ups do not prevent injuries. I don't feel that they do. I don't feel that they're necessary to prevent injuries. Now, that being said, when you say something like that, people hear don't warm up, right? That's what they hear. Yet here I am warming up. People say, well, why are you doing it then? Well, simply put, warming up makes you stronger. Warming up makes you stronger for your main lifts. That's it. That's the reason to warm up. You know what? That's a good enough reason to warm up. That's a good enough reason. You don't need to make up nonsense like, oh, it's going to stop you from getting hurt. Because I'm sorry, if you can't walk over and deadlift 80-90% of your 1 rep max right off the street in blue jeans, you're not really in shape. You have mobility problems. You need to fix that. Warming up is there to prime your nervous system, to get the bar path down, to prime your nervous system to fire muscle fibers, okay? It primes you. It gets you prepared. You're stronger after you do warm-up sets. As long as they don't exhaust you, you're stronger. So yeah, I warm up. And here's the thing, you notice my warm-ups look identical to my work sets. I come in, I lift fast, I lift explosive, I get tight. The warm-ups let you practice your setup, right? They let you practice your setup. And let's talk about setting up here. Bench press, your setup is the most important component. How many dudes just flop down lazy on the bench, unrack the bar? In fact, how many dudes you see unrack the bar and lower it immediately? All right, that's a big mistake. If you want to stay injury-free on the bench press and you want to get explosive and be able to pause with it on your chest and without having to bounce it, without doing touch and go, your setup's everything. Notice I let the bar settle, then it sinks, then I press. All right, if you guys watch that next setup, I don't lower the bar immediately. I let the bar settle into its path above me so that I don't pull it into an unusual path. You don't get shoulder injuries. All right, because you've set your bar path. You've put it above where you want it to go. Then you lower it. You get that bar set in. Same thing. Get tight. And this is the beauty of high set training, even with low reps. All right, this is one of the biggest perks. It lets you practice your setup more. It lets you practice your first rep more. It lets you practice the unracking, all the stuff that you need to get stronger on a max. You're doing it over and over and over. In this case, I did 3 warm-ups and I did 7 work sets. That's 10 times in this workout that I had to set up. 10 times I had to get tight, unrack the bar while staying tight, let the bar settle. Your warm-ups help with that. Your high sets help with that. You get in there and you get tight. And now watch my feet here, guys. You notice where I set my feet? Talk about getting tight. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm able to just rise off the bench the way that I do. I set in. You lock your feet into the floor. In my case, I'm on the balls of my feet, but you can do the same thing with your heels. You just can't move as far like I did. You're set in tight. You retract those scapula. My scapula stay together even at that lockout. All right, you notice that my lats aren't flaring apart. And then lift off the bench. Because you're ratcheted up tight. The reason I pop off the bench like that, I'm already ratcheted up. I'm tight. You get tight, you start tight, and you stay tight. Obviously, I lay down here, and I don't even lay down that way other than I'm on a bench with the J-hook set lower. I'm not on a competition bench where I can adjust it where I want it. So I'm working around the equipment I have. So I'm having to do that so I don't hit my head. I get under it, and then I pull myself under. You notice I pull myself way up under the bar, get my feet set where I want them to be, and then pull myself into that position. All right, same thing before I unrack it. Pull in tight. I get those shoulder blades set in. You see me wiggle a little bit. That's getting my scapula pulled back together under me. The scapula aren't necessarily hitting the bench. Your traps are on the bench. Your glutes are on the bench, and your traps are on the bench. You should have just a little bit of gap. Once you're set in, watch it. Watch me set in. All right, get set up. Pull myself down. Again, you got to get everything right in my head. You've got to focus, concentrate, get in. All right, my traps touched. I settle in so that I can pull the scapula together. That's me pulling the scapula in and get dug into the bench. Get the traps are into the bench, my glutes are on the bench. And come down, pause, explode. On that third rep, I pause longer. Why? Because the third rep is the hardest, because I've already done the first two. So I want to get that the most work possible out of my chest at the bottom. Because again, getting explosive out of the bottom is what builds your speed strength. This is what I'm doing to rebuild my bench. I'm just doing this to retrain all the motor units repetitively over and over and over. Again, year and a half away from benching. I don't even do chest work. My chest feels like it's already starting to grow from this, which is ridiculous because I'm on TRT. I'd understand if I was blasting a bunch of tests and trend and stuff, but I'm not. It's just responding due to old muscle memory. Again, coming in high set training. 7 triples today. I did 7 triples a couple days ago. Getting in and getting it done. And this was really easy today. The last time, I'm going to be honest, that 6th and 7th set, the 6th set felt a little tough, so I took a longer break. Today, these were easy. Like I really should have just done another set or two. But progressive overload. You know what? I can get away with replicating this workout 3 times before it becomes to where you don't adapt anymore. So I'm going to do it 3 times. I'm going to do 3 workouts where I do 7 sets before I go to 8, and I'm going to do 3 workouts with 8 sets. Progressive overload. And by changing it after 3 workouts, you get around the law of accommodation. All right, today I decided to do some behind the neck press again, just to make sure my shoulders are finished off. It's a camera angle Brittany chose there. And you know, some people said, what's up with your hand position? That's a correct hand position on the behind the neck press. If you want to keep your shoulders healthy and give yourself the proper mobility and ability to rotate your wrists, which is what you should be doing, you should never be gripping the bar with no ability to rotate it when you press. All right, that's a big mistake. Again, people wonder why they hurt their shoulders doing various presses. Not allowing yourself to have rotation in the way that you grip a bar. You guys notice I grip the bar in a specific way when I also flat bench. Something I can cover later. I've covered in previous how-to videos. And yeah, this wasn't particularly heavy, guys. 135 for 8 behind the neck, coming all the way down. By the way, I'm not stopping at my ears. I'm touching my traps. This isn't actually that difficult for me. It is after doing 7 sets of bench though. So it's just to kind of finish my shoulders off, finish off my triceps a little bit, and then I do abs. I decided to film the abs again today. Why? Because I do abs every day, and I think people forget that. I make sure that I get some sort of core work every time I go to the gym. Not every day, because I don't go to the gym every day. But when I do go to the gym, if I'm there, I'm going to do some core work, and it's usually some standing crunches or something. Because again, core strength is everything. If you want to be strong on your squats, your deadlift, everything else, core strength is everything. Now, some people will argue that crunches are not always ideal for squats. And there's some truth to that, but they help a hell of a lot with deadlifts. And if my deadlift goes up, my squat goes up. So don't worry about it. The rest of my core development for my squats happen from all my other standing work. The deadlift, overhead pressing, everything else, it's fine. And again, I'm doing front squats right now, so that really hammers my core anyways. But back to the point, yeah, you need to do core work. Core work is important. Anyone who tells you that your core can be strong enough from doing just the big compounds, yeah, it'll get stronger. But if you really want to maximize performance in those big compounds, your core is one of the muscle groups, or the muscles in your core, some of the muscles that really need some independent work. Because a lot of people will then complain, well, my legs aren't growing fast enough off of squats only because my core is a limiting factor. Well, if your core is the limiting factor, do you find ways to remove your core from the exercise? That's the thing that I hate. It's like people saying my grip strength is a limiting factor on my deadlift. And it's like, well, why did you allow it to become a limiting factor? If you had thrown the straps away and done more pulling without the straps and then did some extra grip work, you would be deadlifting 40, 50 more pounds now because your grip strength wouldn't be a limiting factor now, would it? So it's the same thing when people talk about they can't grow their legs because their core doesn't allow them to squat enough. That is an absurd excuse why a big compound can't put muscle in you because you've got a weak muscle group. Well, go train that muscle group. If you knew it was starting to become the weakness, fix it. fix that weakness. No excuse for that. It's just that's pure laziness. I don't know if it's even laziness so much as people just not thinking. Because I do see people, it's probably incorrect to say laziness. Because I do see people who are training hard who take that assumption, and what it is that they don't want to fix their problems, they just want to work around it. And that's the problem, instead of honestly assessing it and saying, okay, I need more core work. So yeah, don't let your core become a weak link, or your grip, ever. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.